welcome back to the Jackie and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm her husband, Glen.
And he's my husband, Glen.
Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Any of our reviews. Tonight, Married at First Sight. Season 14, episode number 5. Episode number 5. Let's get this bad boy popping, ready to go. A lot of fireworks in this episode. A lot of relationship issues here. So who do you want to start with first?
You want to start with the mild?
Let's start them out. Let's work our way up.
Who are you calling mild? I'm calling OKD.
Yeah.
OKD was mild.
OKD was mild, so was Noy and Steve was mild.
True.
So
which one you want to do?
Let's start with Noy and Steve.
All right, we're going to start with Noy and Steve. And so this is what, day 3? They start on day 3 of the marriage and like the second day on the honeymoon.
Yeah.
And so they just wake up in the morning talking about how well they've connected, that they connected right away, and she feels good waking up to him. She's very comfortable, and he's very comfortable as well. She was like, we haven't had any sex yet.
No sex.
We haven't had any sex yet, but she said, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens sooner rather than later. She talks about how later on, how they're so affectionate and holding hands, kissing and hugging and stuff. So yeah. So as they're having their breakfast, he talks about that he liked to go camping, and I like to camp out on the beach. And she was like, okay, I like the beach. I'm not a camper.
Not a camper.
And he seemed kind of like disturbed. He was like, these are things I do, go on adventures. I would like my wife to participate in those adventures with me. So he was kind of disappointed in that.
She talked about a bathroom.
Yeah.
She wants the bathroom.
Like, I'm not going camping.
She's not going camping.
She want to go glamping.
Yeah, she want to go glamping, but she ain't going camping when she got to poop outside.
No, she that's her thing. She don't want to do that.
She don't want to do that.
So, but anyway.
And a bad thing to do.
So then later on, we see Steve set up a nice little picnic for them.
Yeah.
It was really cute. They had the some of my friends, they had the coochie tray. The shark is not called that for real, but he had a lot of dairy on there and some meat. And he was like, "You gonna be okay? Because I know you talking about being lactose intolerant. Is it worth the risk?" She's like, "No, I think I'm just gonna steer clear.
Stay away from that stuff.
The dairy stuff." But
I don't know you like that yet. See, I ain't pooping all over in the bed. I ain't passing gas. I don't know you like that.
Right? She don't want to be uncomfortable. But she says again, we've emotionally bonded. I'm very attracted to him. We're doing hand holding, kissing, and hugging. And he was like, from the day they got married, the days have blurred. It's kind of run together. He's trying to remember what day it was. But speaking of pooping, when it comes to being in a relationship in a dairy, it's like the concern was, what he said was he had to go
use the bathroom.
He didn't call it using the bathroom.
Take a dump.
He didn't call it that. He said he had to have a visit. Like he had a meeting. He said he had a meeting. And so that's been their thing. It's like, how comfortable are we? Are we comfortable enough to say, hey, I got to go poop? Excuse me for a minute. Or are we sneaking off to do it?
As I was watching, I'm saying this thing like, when did I poop in front of Jack? We knew each other for a minute. We didn't do it in college, but I guess when I came to visit, you came to visit. I'm like, yo.
You didn't poop in front of me. I hate that word poop. Dude,
take a dump, drop some Browns off at the Super Bowl, whatever the case may be.
I didn't remember, but you obviously didn't hold it when you came to visit, and I didn't hold it either.
I ain't hold it. I'm a country boy. I ain't hold
well,
it.
And me being a nurse. In the hospital, ain't no shame. If your patient got to use the bathroom, you put them on a bedpan, you help them to the bathroom. I've literally.
I just felt like it was natural. We're gonna poop, and I ain't holding my gas.
No, I can't remember when you did that neither, but I'm sure you did that before me. We probably did that around each other in college.
It probably was in the car. You rolled the windows down. It was
so nasty. But anyway, so that's their thing. It's like, when do we get that comfortable we can do that around each other and discuss those type of things? And she again was just saying, I've never dated somebody that I felt so close with so soon.
Yeah.
And she says, I feel like I'm falling in love. I'm slowly falling in love. And so she's talking about this in her little vignette to the producer, and so she goes to talk to him. It's like, let's talk to the producer. And, I told him, I kind of feel like I'm slowly falling in love. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. Crickets.
That's nice to hear.
That's nice to hear. And his thing was, because we talk about on the after party, like, I've only known her for 3 days. Like, I've only known her for 3 days. We've been together 3 days. Not that I don't lust after or like her, but that love word is kind of, I ain't there yet. Yeah. I'm not trying to hurt her feelings, but I'm not there yet.
Well, I mean, and I think what she said, she called it slowly falling in love, but he expressed it like this, I'm having strong feelings. So that's basically what she's saying. I'm having strong feelings.
Strong likes.
And yeah, he said, I'm having strong feelings, but I don't want to call it falling in love because it's too soon.
Too soon.
But again, with them, the intimacy level is progressing. And she said in her vignette, I'm the type of person, like, I can't hold back my emotions when I'm feeling a certain kind of way. That's why she kind of blurted out, I feel like I'm falling in love. And, she was kind of thrown off when he didn't say anything back. And so she, talked to him about it. He was like, I want to wait to say that till I'm, sure. And I know that's what it is. Like, I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah, you don't just want to say
something. Yeah.
And it not be true, or he can't live up to that. Because there's an action word, right? Because if you say I love you, that means there needs to become some actions behind it. And Steve wanted to make sure that when he says it, that he can live up to the actions that come behind the words, that come with the words.
And then they also have a conversation at one point in the show. All the couples go out on the catamaran, and so they play Never Have I Ever, which is never good.
It's never good to play.
It's never good. And so
it's good. Gosh,
they come back together. So they're talking about Never Have I Ever. And one of the questions was, have you ever cheated? And she was thrown off because he put his finger down. And he was like, well, did you put yours down? And if you watch the show, what she did was she put it down, then she put it up like,
yeah.
I hope nobody saw that.
Yeah, she cheated.
And she said her thing about it is she sees him as such a really good person and nice person. She was like, I can't believe he cheated. Like, I don't even put you in that category. Like, what happened? And for both of them, I was like in my late teens, early 20s, just young, inexperienced, just didn't really know how to treat a relationship. And so, that's when I did it. And they were like, it hurt them so bad to see how it affected the other person that they were like, I wouldn't want anybody to do that to me, so I'm not going to do it to anybody else.
Yeah, I wouldn't cheat again. So
yeah.
But she was subtle with that.
I know she was like, I think she still had 2 fingers up, and she like put it down and brought it back up, hoping nobody saw. But the only other thing we saw with Steve and Noy is they went to the pool together.
Yeah, nice romantic evening in the pool.
Yeah, and they said it's like the first time they've been in the pool together with hardly any clothes on. And he said he's excited. He likes the way his wife looked. Again, they're very attracted to each other. He's attracted to her. And she asked the question like, how close or how what's the attraction level? Like, how close to 100 is it? She asked him a few questions about from 0 to 100. He was like, why it gotta be a 0 to 100? I would have did 0 to 10. But
because 100 gives you something. If he say you're at 55, you're like,
that's enough for you to get mad.
Get mad. Shoot, girl, you about a 62. You know what I'm saying?
62 could be bad, depending on the person.
62 is failing.
But they were like, she says nice having a moment with her husband. And in her vignette, she was like, I was in love once before. And, I'm feeling like, I felt like that would never happen again. But now I'm kind of getting those feelings like,
she got the butterflies.
I'm getting those emotions like it's going that way. So hopefully he'll get to the point where he can say it back to her.
It's just a matter of time. She getting that feeling, and he's doing everything right. He's listening to her. He's communicating with her. He's meeting her need. He's showing her. And as he said again on the after party, that's fine because we're in Puerto Rico, right? We don't have the stress of the world. We don't have all this other stuff. And right now it's just me and you, and we're giving everything into this. But what happens when we get home, Kyle?
Right.
Now, let's see when we get back to where we at, back to Boston, and how we can maneuver in. And that's his mindset. Even though she's getting all these feelings and she feel tingly, they having that sex. He's being him.
Yeah.
He's being him, but at the same time, he's being cautious because he don't want to give too much or put too much out there that he can't live up to.
Yeah, you might not feel that way about me once we get back home.
When we get back home, we start working and life happens and reality kicks in, you know? So that's his hesitation right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty uneventful with Noi and Steve. It was just her falling in love and him just being like, that's nice.
Okay.
Okay, so OKD.
Okay.
Olajuwon and Katina Dickerson.
Yes.
Changed her name. But so we see them waking up the next morning. He asks her, how did I do with the cuddling? She was like, it was still bad.
It's still bad. I don't see how Brock can't cuddle. But we find out it wasn't that he couldn't like snuggle and cuddle up with it and be like, oh, nice.
It's like he's not touching her. She was like, no, I want to cuddle, like touch me, and
be big spoon, me be little spoon.
Right. And but at the same time, she said she didn't say it like this, was like she kind of didn't want to cuddle with him because she's like, you sweat.
He sweat.
You're so sweaty.
He's a sweater.
And she was like, before we get this cuddling perfected or whatever, let's figure out this sweat thing, because that's
I can't wake up in a puddle.
Gross.
This makes me sweat. I can't wake up. Maybe what is hyperhidrosis? Maybe.
She even said in her vignette, maybe he might need to get some Botox under his arms, to help with his sweating. And he was like, I think maybe it's my nerves, or I don't know. I'm like, good gosh, like I know people that sweat, period. Like it's what they sweat, period, in your sleep.
But
for your armpits, not your whole body. She said like it was just his armpits.
Like
sweating while he sleep.
Like sweat just dripping out of his armpits.
That's kind of gross. I hope it don't stink.
I know
sweaty armpits.
I never smelled good smelling sweat. You smell sweat?
I mean, but like it don't have to be. You know what I'm saying? You can sweat sometimes. It don't necessarily smell.
It don't smell good.
But it don't necessarily smell.
I think sweat always got to smell.
But no, I'm talking about people that just got funky armpits. I'm talking about that smell.
Yeah,
you smell like sweat or funk.
Nobody want to smell onions all night. Nobody smell like Whoppers. You gotta. Nobody smell like Whoppers all night. Go wash that up. This ain't Johnny and Bow. This ain't Johnny and Bow. Go. You just walked out. Go bathe. You know what I'm saying?
No Whoppers. From Burger King, not the malted milk balls.
No, from Burger. Onions, man. I don't smell just straight fresh onions.
Oh Lord.
Nobody likes that. Anyway,
so we see them later. Speaking of sweating, they go on a date to the gym.
Yeah.
And Olajuwon is really being a butt.
He's into it.
Yeah,
But you see with Olajuwon, when he's doing something, he takes what he's doing seriously. He puts it in perspective. This is what I want to be 100%. I'm gonna do everything I do. I'm gonna do it to a T. And when you constantly working out and doing those things, he wants his wife to be able to keep up. Now, what we thought was him trying to keep her up was a test.
Yeah, he says that later. But what happened is, so he's like, do this with the weights or do that. You know how to do a burpee. And he was like, come on, stop playing. You know how to do it, whatever. And like, she was like, I don't feel like doing it. Like, stop fussing at me.
Stop fussing at me. You ain't my trainer. Stop bossing me around. Right. Don't push me. And I mean, he's trying to push her to the next level in this little workout. And she's like, no, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah. And she's like, calm down. He's getting on her nerves. And she was like, I mean, I know he has a really strong personality, and that could be the issue, but like he is plucking my nerves.
Yeah.
And the other thing she said though too, with them going to the gym was, she said, I know it's still early yet, And so I'm not really ready to completely let myself go, but we are connecting. Yeah. And I think the gym thing kind of had her like maybe we're not connecting.
Right, because he's yelling, he's fussing. It's on one thing.
I mean, he wasn't yelling at her, but he was definitely fussing.
It's a way to motivate, right? He was trying to motivate her, but what he said in his vignette was like the fact that she didn't stop trying, that she was able to keep going with him and keep up with him and didn't come in and turn into an argument or a fight.
Right, right. So next scene we see with them, so Olajuwon says, I told Mark that I didn't want an apology from Lindsay, but Lindsay actually DM'd me and she apologized, even though I didn't need it. And so, he felt good about that. We find out later that him and Katina talk, and he was really like, just let the whole thing go, which she didn't do. We'll get to that when we talk about the couples and the catamaran, but she didn't.
She let go.
She didn't. And so I'll come back to that later, because it has to do with the whole catamaran. But the last thing we see with Olajuwon and Katina is they're coming back to the room, and he got the infamous Married at First Sight rose petals.
Rose everywhere, dog. He got the name spelled
out.
The
heart initials. With I changed you from KP to KD. Katina Dickerson. If you didn't remember that story, it's because her friend was like, "Oh, y'all the Dickersons." I just want the Dickersons. And so he's got all the rose petals on the table, and then he's got the I'm sorry, not KP, KG. He changed her name from KG to KD.
Yes.
And he's got the rose petals on the floor, and on the bed, and he's talking to her. You're my person. You're my queen. And I want to do this for you. I want to be there for you. And blah, blah, blah.
Man, he's giving her the vows all. He's giving her
all emotional.
He's giving her the vows all over again.
I mean, he's turning, red.
Tears in his eyes, watering up like, you the one for me. I don't want nobody else. God sent you to me. They quote,
if God brought us to it, He'll bring us through it. Amen.
Amen. It was rolling.
She done already picked up what the family be saying.
Right. She picked everything up. They rolling hard, and he's like, you're the one. I don't want nobody else.
I'm not gonna let anybody hurt you. I just want to take care of you. And then he pulls out the oil, gives her a good foot rub, and she's all emotional in her vignette. I mean, he's so nice to me. He's so sweet to me.
No one's ever done this before me.
I just feel like I'm at peace, in my heart. I feel like I fall in love. I'm just so happy. Yeah. And he was like, I love this, and I'm just go ahead and say it. I love this black love, And I mean, they was both like so in her vignette, she cried. In the actual scene, she like talking to him like, "Are you crying?
Are you crying?
What are you doing?"
But he's turning. As you can see, he's turning his life around from Isaac to Olajuwon. He wants to be. This is what he wants. He wants to be married. He's grateful that the expert is giving him his wife. But again, in my opinion, don't get so caught up in the hype, because again, it's honeymoon. It is not the real world. You're not back home yet. You're not working. She's not working. But you do want to be infatuated. You want to get real close on this honeymoon. So when you do go back home, you can remember the good times. Sometimes you just want to get caught up.
We know how that worked out for Zach and Michaela, because they didn't have that time to spend with each other on the honeymoon.
Right.
I say the same thing with Mia and Tristan. Theirs was kind of disrupted too. Zach and Mindy, they just
didn't work out at all.
Yeah.
Zach was there for the check.
All right, so that's Olajuwon and Katina, and like I said, we got one part. We'll come back to them a little bit later. So who you want to go to next?
Let's go to Jasmina and Michael.
Okay. So we see Jasmina and Michael, and he brings her breakfast in bed. He brought her breakfast in bed the day before. And so they had this whole conversation about coffee. He brought her coffee the first day, and so she already know I don't like it. And so he brought her coffee this time, and she's like, oh my gosh. He said, I'm gonna get you drinking coffee. She was like, well, I drink coffee, I just don't drink it like you. And she takes a sip of his coffee, and again, it's too strong. And he was like, what do you want? I want vanilla I want, the latte. She wants something sweet. Obviously, he must drink like black coffee, with some sugar.
Black coffee,
no sugar, no cream.
That's right.
Yeah. But so they had a conversation about that, and then he said he shares with her. I stayed up thinking, like a lot of the night about our little tiff.
Bruh, let it go. See, this is where I step in as a bruh, right? Y'all talked about it the night before. It wasn't that serious. He even said out of his own mouth, it wasn't that serious. Don't bring that crap up the next day. You on your honeymoon, let that ride, bruh.
But he's an overthinker.
He just overthought his way out of a good time.
Analyze, yeah. And so he says, I feel like since the wedding, there's been some distance between us. And she was like, distance between us? Like, I don't see it like that. And he says, I wish we made more progress than we are at this point. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like,
I told
bro, you really was up over analyzing and thinking again and thinking and overthinking the whole thing. Like, calm down.
I told you he's gonna mess this thing up.
But he said what it is. He says he did take responsibility. He said, I think it's because if I be more talkative and and getting to know you, whatever, that might be what it is. And she was like, look, you're overthinking it. You're overthinking
it's too
it.
deep.
And he was like, well, you think it's gonna mess something up? She was like, yes. You keep overthinking, you're gonna ruin everything with your overthinking.
Yeah, he hasn't realized how to just let it go with the flow. Again, or in marriages, you don't have to be right and I have to be wrong. Right? We can both agree to disagree, or we can both have to suck it up. You may be, so whatever case may be, he hasn't learned that yet, and it goes back to him not having those examples in his life to see what a positive marriage look like, how to communicate with your wife when you think you're wrong, even when you think you're right, how to deal with it, how to handle it, because even if you think you're right, it doesn't need to lead into an argument. How to abstain her and take care of her even when she's not feeling well, what I'm saying, those type of things. And I think Michael has to learn that.
Yeah,
and he hasn't learned none of that stuff yet.
Yeah, she said the thing about it, she can't get out of her head what his sister said about him being negative and overthinking and about him assuming the worst. And he says, I just don't want to mess this up, and I find myself trying to spend every moment getting to know you because I don't want us not working out being because I didn't put the time into getting, just.
He's like the backup quarterback, right? When your regular quarterback goes down, the backup quarterback comes to the game, and he does not want to mess up, right? He don't want to fumble the football. He don't want to throw an interception. He want to throw an incomplete pass, but he still has to throw the ball. And I think this is where Michael's at. He doesn't want to have to talk to Jasmina. He doesn't want to say anything foolish. He doesn't want to say anything to hurt her. He's literally walking on eggshells in the midst of their conversation, so he can have a good day for the rest of the day. So he doesn't really want to visit this and move on.
Yeah. Later on they have a conversation, he was like, I'm concerned. Well, Jasmina said she was concerned that he made the comment that we really don't know much about each other.
Right.
And she was like, that made me pause. And like, I mean, we talk, we do. What do you mean we don't know that much about each other? And she asked, again, you just be overthinking stuff. And has that been a problem in your previous relationship? And he said, I haven't had a relationship in a while. And, it's like maybe I wasn't putting in 100%. And when he thinks it looks like he's not trying again, he tries to do something different. Right. And, then it might be too much. His concern is that he's had a lot of deaths in his life. His brother passed away. His dad passed away. His mom passed away. And his brother passed away right in front of him when he was younger.
Yeah.
And so, he's kind of gotten into this. Well, I always feel like something bad is going to happen because so much bad has happened. And, she was like, you could take that a different way. Things bad have happened, but you could look at it like, because things happen unexpectedly, because bad things can happen, the time I have, let me live my life to the fullest, instead of feeling like, when's the ball gonna drop? When's the ball gonna drop? Okay, just.
But even live life to the fullest with somebody that you care about too. with somebody that you're connected to, somebody that you enjoy. Again, they're still married. They're married. So enjoy life. Do have those moments, but do it with me, and let's be able to maneuver and move and not walk on eggshells. Me not having to worry about you didn't say it the way that I needed you to say it. You didn't say it right. Okay, you know what? She wants next time I apologize. She wants me to say it this way. Put in a mental roller. You know, so like the conversation they had and the argument they had even later on, it's like y'all don't need to do this. You're wasting time. You're wasting time.
Because he made the comment that I think the worst because then when it happens, it won't hit me as hard. So I kind of deflect. I go ahead and prepare myself, and we talked about that.
Yeah,
you prepare himself for the worst, and so then when the worst comes, it's like, okay, I can deal with it, as opposed to you should be thinking it could go either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, she says his overthinking makes her nervous, and I feel like he's not taking in the moment. He's just thinking about it as opposed to being in the moment. And trying to figure out when the bad is going to happen. So again, all the couples were on the catamaran, and there were conversations that took place. So at one point when they were having a conversation, Michael shared something, and then Jasmina shared something, and so Michael came and had a conversation with her. It was like, I feel like you cut me off. Well, no, you did. You cut me off on the catamaran, and I didn't like it. And she said, because they were talking about whether they had consummated their marriage, and they played the clip. She actually did not cut him off. He had paused.
And he stopped. And when he stopped, she basically finished the same subject that he was talking about. They was talking about, had they consummated the marriage yet? And so she stopped and said, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. I want to get to know my husband first. Basically, and again, he didn't smile, he didn't buck, he didn't say, oh, you're rude. So where did that come from? There was no emotion. He got a straight poker face because he didn't even look at her as if I'm offended.
Right.
He didn't look at it at all as if he was offended. It just happened. They moved on and kept going until later on he brings that up. Like, bro, let it ride.
Yeah, and so she said in him talking about it, like he got really rude and nasty, because she said, I don't feel like I cut you off, but I apologize if you feel that way. And he was like, well, that's not really an apology. You don't tell me if you feel that way, and I don't want you to apologize to me like that. And she was like, well, I don't feel like I did anything. So
why should I say sorry for this and I didn't do anything?
Right. And she was like, he was very rude and, uncivil and in how he talked to her. And, she's like feeling bad. And she's like, I don't even know if I want to be in this marriage. I definitely don't want to be in a room with him. Like, it was just, the way he talked to me was just terrible.
She was ready to check out at that moment.
For sure.
She was done. She was like, you know what? I don't care about none of this because he's not talking to me like that. It was a mistake. It's nothing like that. She just felt bad. And so, and she was, you saw her in the bathroom and she was there, and the clip they showed him just working out while she's by herself, like and I think that's key because it was oblivious to him. He's not even thinking about it anymore, and yet he's the one that started the fire. And now she has to carry the weight of the burden of being hurt by the situation.
And so they get together for a dinner, and he's hoping that the dinner will kind of ease the tension from what happened in the morning and this disagreement that they had. And so he says, he opens, do you have any expectations of me? Is there anything you expect from me? And she said, I expect for you to be respectful in how you talk to me. I didn't like how you talked to me. And, she was like, my thing is, I'm sorry you felt that way. And he was like, so if I did something to you, you wouldn't have a problem if I say, I'm sorry you felt that way. And she was like, no, because I felt the type of way. And if you don't feel like you did anything, but you understand that I feel a type of way, then you say, I didn't mean it like that. So I apologize that you took it that way, or that I made you feel a type of way.
From a guy perspective, right? What he's doing, and he hears her, but he's not listening to her. He hears what she's saying, but he has not listened and processed what she's saying. And he would have learned that she was saying that, I apologize. Right. It may not be always the way that you want. Mm-hmm. You want me to apologize for something that I did not think I did wrong, right? And you're talking about, oh, I was there, I know, blah, 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 which he doesn't realize that he's demeaning her, and he's demeaning and pushing down her self-worth, mm-hmm. her intelligence, her self-esteem, because, again, we're supposed to be one, and the guy who I'm one with is not even trusting me mm-hmm. to say I saw what I saw, mm-hmm. or I heard what I heard, or I didn't do what you say I did, mm-hmm. And so they have a trust issue as well as a confidence issue going on right now.
Yeah.
And it's, it's just one of those things. They have to be able to work this out and communicate one with another to fix this situation.
Yeah. And he says, at this point, I feel like we're just, we're talking in circles, we can just agree to disagree. And he says, and this is the thing. So I'm making a point that from this point going forward, however you say sorry, I'm going to accept the apology, however you say it.
And what did she do? What did she do?
And he said, next time his thing is too, I'll point out the issue immediately. Yeah. I won't wait. And because that's what he did before. He didn't point it out right then and there. He kind of stewed about it. Then he came back later, was like, "Wait, you cut me off." And so she said, what she didn't like, do you really mean that you're going to accept it? Or are you just saying that to appease me, like to stop the conversation? So, he was like,
this is where I like time out. If he apologizes, and he says it, don't come back with, are you trying to appease me? The man apologized because he felt sorry. He apologized because he felt bad. He apologized because he didn't understand, and he couldn't articulate to you what he was going on. So he felt that type of way. So again, don't negate, because she want him to negate her apology. Don't negate him saying, you know what, and realize it and click in his head, I made a mistake. I need to treat you better, or I need to say it this way, because this is how you want me to say it. I think a lot of men, and I talk from experience, when you say I want this, I want that, we put in a mental Rolodex, like, okay, this is what she wants. Let me go ahead and do it. And also, we had mental fixes, because he was at the point where he's tired of having a conversation. He was tired of having this discussion. He didn't want to deal with it no more. So his thing, I think, was a way twofold. One, to get her on the side, to ease it out, and two, just to shut it down. Mm-hmm. I don't need to talk about it. Let's be quiet.
Well, and that was her problem. It's like, are you just doing this to appease me so we can change the conversation?
Oh, sure, he probably was.
Yeah. So that kind of
he knew he was because he knew he couldn't win. And I'm not saying it was an argument that he was going to win, but it's a win that it looked like I'm not winning this. Mm-hmm. At first, he was gung ho. He was into it. Now it's going on. It's dinner time. It's draining. I don't want to do this. I'm not doing no. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, she said her thing was, his aggressiveness just really threw her off. And he was like, I understand, I can get like that sometimes. I'm trying to work on it. It's never intentional. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but that's a problem I have. And so, next time I'll nip it in the bud immediately.
Yeah. And that's the thing I like about it. He's recognized that, you know what, I'm not even gonna let it go this far. Mm-hmm. You can't knock a guy once he learns to say, you know what, I'm not letting it go this far. I'm not going to disrupt my family. I'm not going to disrupt my fiance. I'm not going to disrupt my wife. This issue has to stop today. So. Yeah.
So he was like, are you still bothered? She said, I'm still bothered, but I'll believe you till I see something different. Mm-hmm. When I see you not doing that, I could be like, see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry.
So that was it really with Jasmina and Michael.
Yeah, it was much.
So let's go Lindsay and Mark.
Let's go. Yeah, Lindsay and Mark. We saved the other people for last. Chris and Alyssa for last. Let's go. Let's go Lindsay and Mark. Lindsay and Mark here.
They talk about their chemistry being so undeniable. The producer asks, "Have you consummated the marriage?" And she just does a whole bunch of giggling. You know what that means?
Yeah, she got it in. Yeah. We find out later on. I think it was after party.
Yeah, we found on the after party. Yes.
Morning, noon, and night. Mark was getting his man morning, noon, and night. Lindsay was letting Mark have relations with her morning, noon, and night.
But on the show, she said a woman never kisses and tells. But again, she kept giggling. But she said it on after party for a reason, which we'll get to. for why she said it. But their activity for the day was going to make pina coladas. Yeah. And he was like, it sounds like fun, but can we like watch how many drinks you be getting into? Because
here we go. I told y'all. If you watched our review,
you cut me off.
That's you. I apologize for cutting you off. So I'm not going to finish my statement.
No, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
Really, I cut you off, so I want you to finish your statement.
Shut up, boy. Please, go ahead.
No.
Go.
We're just gonna sit here because I really want you.
No, we're not gonna sit here.
I really want you to go.
We're not gonna sit here. Go ahead.
No, finish your statement.
Go ahead. He said don't be drinking a whole lot of drinks in such a short amount of time. Okay, go ahead.
She finished her statement, y'all. That's how it works. See, you be pleased, you be nice, and she finished her statement. Now, but at the end of the day, I told y'all last week that Lindsay was drinking.
Oh, we knew that.
Lindsay was a little tipsy when she went after Elijah won, and she drank. Mark said she had 3 bottles of wine before she hopped on the plane. This lady was tipsy.
I mean, she drank a lot before she went to the wedding.
Firewater was running. That liquid courage almost got her beat up. But Mark had that conversation with her.
Yeah, she tried to blame her behavior on being tired or whatever. He was like, no, you was liquored up.
You was drunk and tired, but it wasn't just tired.
So anyway, after that, they go to make the pina coladas, and he was like, I haven't had a boring date with her yet. She likes that he can loosen up and be fun. And she's the only thing is I need to class him up. He's all Guido-y and everything. And I was like, you're gonna class him up. I think it's the
other way. She has no class. I can say that. Sorry.
She ain't got no coof.
She has no coof. She has class, but she has no coof. Whatever comes to her mind, she's gonna do. And whatever she feel like she thinks she can do or she can get away with, she can get away with. Because she thinks it's justified. So.
So while they're making the pina coladas, Mark actually makes one himself. The bartender makes one, but then he makes one too. Because they had a whole conversation about like coconut more than pineapple and whatever. But they talk about their dating history, and she was like, "For me, I've dated just about every engineer in the book." And once I got tired of dating engineers, then I guess I got into cheaters, liars, and stealers. Yeah. My dad was like, don't date another engineer. And he said for him, he dated some in high school and then in college, and he feels like, he had his first love at that time. And, her emotions came out when she drank.
Definitely.
Ding ding. Sounds like Lindsay. And so he said Lush. He said most recently he did date someone during COVID, but it was like a year ago, and he found out, she had an ex that treated her like crap, and he couldn't understand why somebody would treat somebody like that, and so a lot of the girls he's dated, they've had that issue, and so when they get to him, it's like he's a breath of fresh air. And as Lindsay was listening in her vignette, she said it sounds like Mark is always so busy taking care of somebody else, which as a side note, we do know he takes care of his mom. He cares for his grandma. And he's so busy taking care of everybody else that nobody takes care of him. And she was like, I want to make sure that he puts himself first and that he's comfortable with himself and taking care of himself. Yeah. And so that's what she got from it. The one thing that Mark says later too is, the similarities that they have between them, is good. Kind of have them geeking out a little bit, but
it's not always a good thing though.
Yeah, because he that says then what happens is when you get into these fights and things like you did on the plane.
Because she's always 100 and he's like 75, and now she caused the fire and he got to put the fire out, and that's what he should have said. Like, I'm not trying to put out all your fires. He was nice about it.
But what instead, this was later when he had planned a romantic dinner and they're having this conversation. And so instead he talked about, okay, so I know this is an accelerated process, but I want to slow down in the process. I feel like we're going too fast. which I think what he really meant was what you said.
Yes.
And it went to something different. And she was like, "Oh, well, you want to slow it down?
I can slow it down. I can take it way back. And when I take it way back, it's hard for me to bring it back up because I'm gonna take it way back."
Because he was like, "I think slow and steady wins the race." And she was like, "Oh, for real? Oh, for real?" He was like, "I don't want to go fast, 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 and get all lovey dovey," which is the same thing some of the other couples we're talking about. I don't want to be all romanticized here, and then we get into real life, and it's it's like I don't feel that way about
real life.
you.
You start opening doors. You start sweetening me. You start rubbing my feet. You Elijah one. You start. Oh, when you get back, so they want to make sure that it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And so she was like, I'm confused because you were the first to jump to being all physical and stuff like that. Now you're saying you want to pull it back. And, she says, if you want to do less, then don't give me no full frontal. You don't be farting with the door open. I was like, what is she talking about?
You don't get it. If you want to pull back less, don't give me your naked body. Don't give me none of that stuff. You know what? Go change in that room over there. Oh, we're gonna treat it like we're strangers.
I get that part, but I'm talking about all the farting and stuff. I was like,
because again, it brings back to what we said earlier.
Being comfortable. I know, but I was like, chick, come on.
Being comfortable.
Come on. And he was like, you just so very much up, and she did share there, they had consummated their marriage, and he said you said you were gonna have a romantic dinner for me, and here you bring him this conversation talking about pulling it back, and you call this romance? Like, buddy, this ain't what it is.
Ain't none of this romance. And she goes in on him like, this ain't no romance. Yeah, you shouldn't even brought me here. Matter of fact, I'm leaving. I'm going back to the room.
Yeah, she hopped off.
She hopped up and she did a Alyssa. She left.
Yeah, but what he said was, I planned this romantic dinner basically to kind of soften her up, because he wanted to have that conversation with her. But she was like, "Oh, if this what you call romancing me, yeah, this ain't it.
This ain't it.
I don't know what you thought was getting ready to happen, but it's not."
And then when they get back to the hotel room, get to the room, she like, I need a minute. Just go. I just need a minute. And he ended up leaving. He's the one that ended up leaving, but she was rude. And I didn't say she was rude. She was hurt.
Yeah, she was.
She was hurt. And she was hurt because he didn't really deliver for what he said. He should have told her, this ain't gonna be a romantic dinner. This is gonna be a dinner. I have some issues to discuss. Can you give me about 5-6 minutes to discuss the issues that I'm having, and we'll continue with our romantic dinner.
Not only that, and also explain, actually, it's like he kind of beat around the bush, and what it really was is that we get so comfortable, like you letting all your Lindsay out. And I want you to reel that in, because I'm not ready for that big, all of that of you.
I ain't ready for all of it.
Trying to put your fires out and having to calm you down and stuff like.
How you dealing with your mom, parent issues?
I'm not ready for that. And so afterwards, he asked her on the way to the room, "You want to talk about it?" "No, I don't want to talk about it now." And even later in the room, she was like, "I still don't want to talk about it."
I still don't want to talk about it.
And she's like, she said, "I'm furious." And then she says to him all sarcastically, "Thanks for the nice romantic night. You might want to get out, you separate yourselves." And he was like, "I'll step out." She was like, "Yeah, step out." I was like, gosh, well, that
she dismissed him like quickly. She was like, dismiss. She just dismissed him.
Yeah, that escalated quickly.
But she went from 0 to 100. That's the way 100 should have went to. She went 0 to 100 real quick over a period of time. So
yeah, so that's Lindsay and Mark. Yeah, it's just a mess. Like you said, we found out on our after party that he had gotten it morning, noon, and night before this dinner, before telling her, I want to pull it back. But again, what he wanted to say is, can you pull some of you back? Reel that extra Lindsay in, because I'm not ready. I like you a lot. I like what we're doing, but I don't like that part.
We're not gonna always have cameramen. We're not gonna always have people protecting us. She will get him into a fight before the season's over.
All right. So the train wreck. Before we get to the couple thing, I don't know. I just want them to break it up.
Train
yeah, Alyssa and Chris are the
big train wreck. Y'all don't.
I just want them to let it go. Just to quit while you're ahead. because it's painful, and
It
they have one. I'm not even gonna call it a glimmer of hope. They have one scene, I think per episode where you feel like, okay, she's gonna be nice, and then she's not.
It's cringeworthy. I ain't gonna say a lot to
you. It's bad.
I feel bad for dude. I don't even know him. How she just stays away from him, doesn't interact with him. She doesn't like talking to him, and he's trying. He's trying to spend time with her, quality time. She's not having it at all. She don't even want to be seen with this dude.
So he was like, I'm still she said, I'm still optimistic. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Both of them are like, it hurts not to wake up with your spouse. But like she went in. She was like, I was this is not the way I hope to spend my first night on my honeymoon. I wanted to spend it with my husband. And I just feel like everybody else is over there happy. Why me? Why did this have to happen to me?
Because
How
you
did
chose
this happen
that.
to me?
You made the decision.
These are cards that I was dealt, why am I going through this? It's like, because you're not being nice to him. You're making it worse than it is. It don't have to be this way.
It doesn't.
You can be pleasant. He's being very pleasant, and you are not trying to, even if you're, and like I said before, it's okay if you're not attracted to him, but can't be nice. She still not trying to get to know him. Like, she don't even have no desire to get to know him. That's like, you can get to know somebody, not romantically, like halfway. Like, it was really bad. And he was like, I think she sees me as disrespectful because we have a disagreement, but that's not what it is. And he said he's still hopeful that something could come out of it. He's past the marriage part too, because that ain't happening.
That's not flying. They're not finishing. He knows that it's not going to fly. So what he's looking for is anything that can give him a glimmer of hope. Because I really think in his heart of heart, he knows that this ain't gonna work out. In his heart of heart, he knows, I need to drop her. In his heart of heart, he knows that, I'm not going to fight somebody for her every night to prove my love. If she doesn't want to be here, that's where you got to be at. If she doesn't want to be here, guess what? She doesn't need to be here. Let her, again, that was one of the biggest things for me. For seeing this, it's like, dog, this dude is really doing he living his best life without you. He living his best life without you, but he's not as, he's living. I'm gonna leave that alone right there. He's living the best life without you.
Yeah, so he has planned for them to do an activity. He said, I just want to keep it lighthearted and avoid any issues. Just want to have a good time. And he was like, I just want to spend some time with her. And so she says, despite everything that's happened, she said, I'm trying to be the bigger person. I was like, bigger than who?
Bigger than herself. Because you keep causing these fires and you stand there acting as if you didn't do anything.
How are you being a bigger person?
You don't even want to communicate. You don't talk. You don't interact, but you're trying to be the bigger person.
How?
Explain how. How does City even...
He's being the bigger person, still putting up with your cantankerous tail.
Big word.
And so they go paddle boarding. And she's done paddle boarding before. He hasn't. He did a lot of falling off the paddle board, getting wet, and meantime she's staying dry. And he's like,
do anything.
Yeah, is this your comfortable place? Yes, this is my comfortable place. And he says, spending time was good, having an enjoyable time. And he says, they have a conversation on the beach. Is hanging out more of your speed? And she's like, yeah, this is more of my speed. And so he said, he feels like he didn't do good at all, trying to let her know that that you're a cool person or whatever. And she says, that she wants to come off as united, no matter how we feel. The experts just didn't do a good job. And that's what's got me upset. That's what I'm upset about. The experts just didn't do a good job. They did not do a good job of finding me Jason Momoa, Chris Hemsworth,
Dwayne Johnson.
I don't know why they couldn't find these people for me. Instead, they gave me you. They just didn't do a good job. And I'm like, chick, are you?
She is
delusional.
Like the experts, they didn't. She's blaming everybody else for this thing not working, and it's really
for
her
you being a butt.
being a butt. If you don't like him, that's fine. If you don't want to interact with him, that's fine. But you don't have to be nasty about it. That's my thing. You don't have to be so rude about it. And I guess there's sometimes that she do want to pull back, and where she's like, I'm not gonna be rude. I'm just gonna give him a bone, be quiet. I'm gonna give her a bone. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She don't even want to be with him at all.
Yeah, her problem
is the scuba diving, the scuba, whatever he was
doing. Well, we ain't got to that yet. We still at the paddleboard. And so that's when she tells him, I went to a psychic before the wedding, and the psychic told me that I would meet my soulmate, and he'd have an eagle tattoo. And, she was specific about these features and looks. And he was like, well, and very pretty eyes. And he was like, basically like, why'd you put your stock in a psychic? She was like, well, she's been on point before. Mm-hmm. I really trust what she has to say. And, so basically what she's saying is, you're mad because what the psychic told you hasn't worked out, and so you're not gonna give him a chance at all.
It worked out, but the psychic saw, what we found on the after party, the psychic saw Steve. Whenever the psychic was having a scene, they saw Steve because Steve has a big tiger tattoo.
Okay, and that's the correction. So when she's sitting there talking to Chris, she says he had an eagle tattoo. We found out on after party that it was actually a lion tattoo, but she kind of changed it because she didn't want to cause any issues. So by the time we got to Chris, it was an eagle tattoo, but it was really a tiger tattoo, a lion tattoo. And the ladies knew this at the bachelorette party before the weddings, because even Noy told, Steve said Noy told him, oh, you got that tattoo, when we go on a honeymoon, keep your shirt on.
Keep your shirt on.
And cover it up. And he was like, I'm not keeping my shirt on the honeymoon. And like, that's, she told him what it was. So it went from a lion tattoo to an eagle tattoo. To me not liking Chris wouldn't let on.
To me not liking. No, they said it was for Noy. Because Noy was getting annoyed with the fact that she was looking for the tiger tattoo. And she knew Steve had one, and Steve had the pretty eyes that she talked about. So psychic was in the ball house, but I don't know, it was the wrong person. Should be a psychic.
Cause Steve ain't your man.
Nope.
Steve ain't your man, and I don't mean that like match wise. I'm like, I can't see that neither.
No,
I can't see that either.
Steve's not a man, and she should know that. That look, the man that you have is Chris, because I get this. She talked about my man's physique.
Yeah.
She talked about my man's body, y'all.
Yeah.
Talking about y'all should be riding her neck because she was doing some body shaming here.
Yeah, because they went snuba. They went snuba-ing, which is snorkeling and scuba diving. And basically she was like, I don't want to go swimming with him. So the paddle boarding was fine, but she don't want to get in the water. It was like, you're not touching each other in the water. You got your bathing suit on in both instances.
You can swim to the other end if you want to.
Bro, she made me so mad. I was like, really? And he was excited to spend time with her, but he didn't want to push it. And she was like, I'm just gonna watch from the shore. Mm-hmm. You have yourself a good time. I'm gonna watch from the shore. And so that's when she said, it's the first time I've seen him without his shirt off. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings or anything, but he's not my type.
Not my type. And her type is she wants a buff dude that racks 350 in the gym, that pumps iron like this, who got some nice guns, who's sleek and slim. That's what she's looking for. And she's not even giving this dude a chance.
At all.
This dude hadn't even slept in the same room with her. Look, he gets no chance.
It was really bad. It was really bad. So she was inside while he was snoobing. She's sitting at the table eating, and she says, she's talking to the producer, and I want to say, honey, they got some, I don't know about in y'all's area, but in our area, they have these commercials for like insurance companies. So like when you have a car accident, the insurance company is not your friend. They're going to call and they check on you, and then they're going to use it against you.
Right.
Okay. And so I've been wanting to tell Alyssa, your producer is not your friend.
Not at all.
Much as you talk about you don't want to look mean or you don't want to hurt feelings, they are filming you, and they will put this in the show.
Every moment they would film you and they would put it in the show, regardless of what it is. And
they did her some kind of dirt.
She must have forgot, because what happened was she said, I don't want him to be over here. Can one of y'all go tell him not to come over here?
Before that, though, even let's go before that. She says, the producer's like, what do you want to do? And she was like, I want to leave here. Okay. I want to leave here. And, she said, I'm mad at my mom because, I don't want to go swimming with him. Paddleboarding was something different. And my mom called me and was like, you're being difficult and you don't want to come off like that. You're making yourself look bad on TV.
But how much she is, though?
Mom was like, don't do that. And I'm mad at her. And, what do you mean she stopped being difficult? And, she says, everybody else has got someone to get along with. And they got somebody and they're happy. And I'm stuck here and I'm not happy. And, you're complaining about what you're causing.
It is your fault. You're doing this. You're not anything he said. That dude can say the sky is blue.
And you mad.
And you mad. Oh, you said, that sky ain't blue. That's red.
Or, yeah, it's blue, but I don't like you saying it's blue. Why would you say it's blue? Oh, gosh. And so she tells the producer, when she sees Chris coming, can you tell him not to come over here right now? And I was like, wow.
Like, she said, eating her food and like, tell him, please tell him not to come over here.
She puts her shades on.
And just sits there, put her head down, eating her food, and like she
tell him don't come over here, because now she done worked herself up.
Like he's the plague.
And the producer actually walked over to this man. Oh, I slapped that producer in the back of their head.
And so I wonder what he said. Like, this, don't come on, she don't want you to come over here. What?
Actually went over there and talked to him.
Nah, couldn't be.
And he did not come.
Nah, couldn't be no.
And while the producer is walking over there, she's like, I don't like him. I hate him.
How do you hate somebody that you don't communicate with? How do you hate somebody that you don't really understand or that you don't really know? How do you hate somebody that you haven't even slept in the same room with? Right? You hate him based off of physical appearance, but I guarantee he might treat you better than any of those other musclehead guys. Like some musclehead. Those people that look like.
No, you're right.
That has that physique that she wants. Because again, when you said it all the time, and a lot of other people said, you're on this show because what you did or who you was dating, who you was with, was not working. So they decided to give you somebody else to see if you're compatible.
And you ain't giving that man a chance.
Not at all.
And you call yourself being what happened to I'm being a bigger person. So it's a big person to tell him don't come over here. I don't feel like being bothered with him right now.
She wants to be right. She don't care about being a bigger person. She wants to make sure the image that we see on TV is an image of her doing. Well, I told him the right things. I said this because when I said this happened, and I don't want to hurt his feelings, but she wants to come off looking good. Anytime you have to say, you know what, I'm very nice. Guess what? You're not.
Nice.
Not nice. You gotta beat around the house and I'm the man of the house. Guess what? You're not the man of the house.
You real
schizophrenic.
But you on B time right now. Mm-hmm. That's what you looking like.
She's really like. Yeah.
But there's a group time with all the couples that go out on the catamaran.
Yes.
And actually at one point the guys and the girls are separate. Mm-hmm. And the guys are on the beach, the girls are on the boat, the ladies on the boat. And before that though, they have a group conversation. Mm-hmm. Olajuwon's like, have y'all learned a lot about each other yet? And everybody's like, yeah, except for of course Chris and Alyssa. And so he asks, has anybody consummated yet? And everybody's like, no, but Lindsay keeps it's turning red, and they was like, okay, we know what that means.
I mean, she wants to say something, but then she don't want to say something because she can't tell me she does. She's attention seeking. She's an attention seeking person, and she wants to spotlight the attention on you, on her. And if you give that attention, you have a rough time all the time.
But Olajuwon says it's a hard no for him. They haven't consummated. That's when Michael had the conversation where he felt like Jasmine cut him off, and Michael says, no, they haven't consummated a marriage. Jasmine says, I want to get that emotional connection first. Noy is like basically Noy and Steve, they want to keep whatever's between them.
Yeah, they want to keep it quiet.
Broadcast.
They want to broadcast it to the world. And again, I have no problem with that neither. Keep it classy, keep it real. Just don't go Ryan and Claire.
And lie. Or Katie and
Luke.
Katie
and lie.
Terrible. Chris says, well, needless to say, we haven't. Y'all ain't.
We just happy y'all sat beside each other, y'all.
And it wasn't hardly doing that.
I need you to keep your eyes up while he sat beside you. She was bent because she couldn't jump off in a boat. She couldn't jump off in the water. So she just enjoyed his company.
So the ladies have their conversation, it's like, how was your first night? No, it was like, I was very comfortable with him. It's actually kind of eerie, and, I say, but I feel like I'm falling in love, slowly falling in love. And she said, I think kind of scared him off because it happened so soon, talking about it.
That's the point I wanted to get, because everybody, Lindsay says it later after Noy. Again, is it really falling in love, or I'm really infatuated with this person? Lindsay said, well, I think I'm falling in love with Mark. That's the best thing it is. And then the other, but then later on, she called him a stupid idiot. I'm sorry. You can't have, if you love me, don't abuse me and hurt me with your words. It's like, oh, you stupid idiot. Your vocabulary has to change. But she said she loves, again, you get love from both sides.
Well, yeah, she says when I asked her about her and Mark, she was like, I think I love him. I think he's a good balance. We match well. And she said that he's not somebody I would have picked up in a bar, but I think I don't have any complaints. He's a good guy. And they ask Alyssa, how was your first night? And she says, we don't have to talk about it. And let's just move forward. Her thing is, I just want to move forward to a good place and do the best with the situation I've been given.
She's not trying to do anything.
And so Lindsay asked, well, actually, when Lindsay asked the question to Alyssa, Katina in the background says, here we go.
Here we go.
And so Lindsay was about to say, ask, if when we get back, you're gonna move in together. And she's like, never mind, no. And so Alyssa's like cut her off before she was like, look, let's just move on from here.
Let's move on.
Let's not have this conversation.
She doesn't want to have the conversation because she's not doing right. She doesn't want the opinion of the other women in her circle around her. She don't want those in her circle to judge her. She don't want those in her circle to say, you know what, to hold her accountable for her actions or her behavior, that you did wrong. That you're wrong. We see how you're treating this dude. And everybody sees it. Everybody's not blind. You treating this dude like he has
got the plague.
The plague. And guess what? People are not happy. They're not happy. Lindsay's not happy, especially.
No.
They already bumped head to head. They don't see eye to eye anyway. So it's not something that Lindsay could care less.
So when the guys are talking on the beach, they're talking about how everything's going and how they vibing or whatever. And Michael says his thing is trying to find a good balance between, he don't want to go too slow, but he don't want to go too fast. Just finding a balance in between there and making everybody comfortable. And also dealing with those conversations that they talked about, disagreements. And Steve was like, well, why don't you try letting her lead? Following her lead. And when it comes to those hard conversations, let her bring it up first and, address it from there.
Which is, good advice from Steve. So it's not always you. So she doesn't think you're always picking on her. So she don't always think that you're the one starting trouble. Again, allow her to have a say-so and be the vocal one.
And so Olajuwon talks about how he and Katina have been getting along. And he says, we had a gym day, but it wasn't really a gym day. It was I want to see how she'll react thing. And he was like, I was in there purposely pushing her and irritating her because I want to see if she would speak up. And he said she did speak up. Right. She didn't let me push her over. And I like that. I wanted to see that she would, if she would speak up when she had a problem.
Yeah, he wanted to see a threshold. Do I have a problem with him testing her? No. But can it backfire? Definitely. It could backfire later on because, again, you're two different people. She may not be built for that. She can do it while you pushing her and motivating her. But at the end of the day, she's still her own person, and she has to make the decision for herself. It's nothing Olajuwon can do.
Mm-hmm. And so Mark shared that, he's had a very interesting time with Lindsay. We went from the wedding and then had to deal with the plane, and how her dad said that, you might have to reel her in, and he understands that. He said, but hopefully at some point she'll be able to reel herself in. Like, I won't have to do it for her. So that's where he's waiting for her to reel herself in.
No time soon. She ain't there yet. Not there yet. Not there at all.
And so then we see going back to the conversation, we go back to the conversation with the ladies. And so Noy was saying, I'm glad Lindsay came out on the thing because, when they had drinks after the plane incident, right, Lindsay didn't show up. And Lindsay talks about, well, I just needed a moment. I felt triggered. And, with everything that was going on. And Katina was like, I'm going to have to stop you right there.
I was going to sit here and not say anything. Olajuwon told me not to say nothing. Olajuwon told me to let it go, let it be peaceful.
But I'm going to have to stop you right there because you talking about how you were triggered based on your history. And she was like, you triggered yourself.
Thank you.
You triggered yourself. You triggered yourself. When you all liquored up and, you need to take care of that. You need to get help. With your issues, what you call triggering yourself, and how you act when you get alcohol, and you do things and then you play the victim, and then Olajuwon told you, stop poking. You kept poking. It was your fault. It's manipulative. And Lindsay was like, that's rude. That's not a nice thing to say. Katina was like, I don't care if you think it's rude. I don't care. And once she said it, she spoke her piece, and she was like, I'm done. I'm gone.
Before we even get there, I know that was. They told Katina to move her seat. Somebody was like, one of it was Alyssa. Move on the other side. Don't sit beside her. Mm-hmm. Because they thought Katina was going to go off and get in her face and go on it. Katina was classy.
Yeah.
Everything she said was it right? It was her truth, right? Alyssa with Katina, they end up going off the boat because she
off to another part.
Another part. Well, they end up going into the water because she didn't want to be around Lindsay anymore because she was getting hot, and Lindsay could not understand why Katina was so hot and why Katina was so upset. But then we find out on an after party that according to Lindsay, right? According to Lindsay, that she never said to Olajuwon that he wanted to fight, that she wanted to fight him.
And Katina was like, yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
You can't be saying that out in public.
Right.
When you have an issue with, and she said, I'm going to call it, with an African-American man.
Correct.
Because it ain't going to go well. And people not going to look at you as the instigator, even if you are. They're going to be looking at him.
And they're not going to.
And it don't look good.
It don't. The optic doesn't. And even Keisha chimed in on it. Like, I want you to understand where she's coming from. And Lisa's like, I understand. Do you really understand?
Right. And Jasmina did that on the boat too. She was like, I don't understand, why she's upset. And she didn't understand why I needed a minute to regroup, that I was triggered. And Jasmina's like, she don't have a problem with you having a moment and regrouping. She has a problem with the fact that you started it. Mm-hmm. You triggered it. You made you be triggered.
And Lindsay was like, well, it wasn't Olajuwon who triggered me. It was Katina because of her actions. Well, guess what? No woman, rightful woman, is going to let another woman try to demean her husband, beat him up, or fight him, or take money out. Whatever the case may be. No woman's going to stand by and let her see her husband go through that.
Yeah, and that's what Katina said on the after party. She was like, it's one thing when you irritating and messing with my husband, but then as a woman, you say to my husband, I'll fight you. That's when it becomes an issue between me and you. Because for one, I I ain't gonna let you fight my man. I'm not gonna let my man fight a woman.
No.
We're gonna fight woman to woman.
We're gonna have to get each other.
You know, and so yeah, Jasmina told her, you know, it was your fault. You know, you triggered, and you know, people may think you too much. I'm not saying you're a bad person, but like you need to reel that in. You need to fix that.
Yeah, you're doing too much.
So later on, Lindsay talks to Mark about it and on the boat, and he was like, you know, I'm just encourage you to enjoy your time. You know, just keep your mouth. But he said it, keep your mouth shut.
Keep your mouth
lay low.
shut.
Let's be amicable. Let's just work it like that. It's hard for her to do. And walk away.
It's hard for her to do. She can't keep her mouth closed. She has something to say on everything. Everything.
So then it goes from bad to worse. So they play Never Have I Ever. And, you know, we talked about Steve. We questioned, have you ever cheated, and how Steve put his finger down, and him and Noy talked about that. And so as they're getting down to the last question, was like, anybody got a question? Anybody got a question? And Elijah was like, come on, man. This is your chance to ask whatever question you want. Right. And they like, what question? He was like, I mean, like, has anybody ever had a threesome? And they were like,
and they're looking at Elijah on like, this brother really asked this question.
Did you just say that? And he's like, yeah, of course I have. And then he says, like, here's another one. Have you ever messed with somebody in the same family? And then it really went, they were like, what?
And he goes to tell a story when we get the full story on
he slept with a daughter and a mother.
Daughter and a mother. And it was like 2 weeks apart or something like that. Check out Married at First Sight after party to get the full story. But
yeah, everybody was like, no, who's doing that? No. Yeah. And somebody was like, it was disturbing. He was like, no, it wasn't disturbing. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. Everybody was like, huh? What?
Right. He said he got taught something.
You knew they was related, and everybody was just shocked. And like, even Katina was like,
this is who I'm married.
What? And he says, I mean, you know, would you do a threesome as married folks? And, you know, everybody was like, nah, that's off the table. And Elijah was like, I mean, shoot, if my wife offers it, you know, why would I not? Why would I not do it? Everybody was just like, dude, what is wrong with you?
But he doesn't know, grow up, because he eventually said it when they went to dinner. That'll mess up your marriage. Mm-hmm. When you bring somebody else into your marriage, it messes up your marriage because somebody catch feelings more that you didn't think they would catch. Now you may be you and your husband might have been strong, and you bring somebody else in. Now y'all just the weak ones. Anything is liable to happen when you introduce somebody else into your wedding, into your marriage.
Man, I always say this: trust no one. Somebody gonna catch feelings, good or bad.
Good or bad.
Either they gonna be good and like want all your time, or it's gonna be like, I want all your time, and I'm getting ready to tell your wife, I'm about to blow your spot up. They go to that extreme. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I'm a firm man. When you cheat, you putting too much faith and trust in somebody else that they not gonna tell your wife, that they not gonna catch feelings, that they gonna keep it as just a sexual thing, you know, that you ain't gonna have to buy them nothing. It's too much. You put too much trust. Ain't nobody, if it's the male or female, I'm not putting on either one. It's a chance that either one of them, either person in it could get very possessive.
Oh, yes.
To the point where y'all be on some of that fatal attraction, that snap stuff. If I can't have you, nobody can.
Yeah, that's why you don't introduce nobody else. If you married, that's why he says, Mrs. Dickerson, you know, if you're married, you're married. Don't invite people in. It gets cloudy. Somebody catch feelings. It never ends well.
It does not.
It never ends well. It never ends well.
Somebody gonna get their feelings hurt or get their body hurt.
Somebody.
Physically hurt. But anyway, so later on they come, Elijah and Katina. You know, she was like, you know, the Isaac's, that's what she called it, the Isaac story. You know, it surprised me, but it didn't really bother me. Yeah, you know, because that's your truth.
It bothered her.
You know, but her thing is, as far as a threesome, I'm not doing no threesome because I don't want to share my husband.
Yeah, don't want to share.
And he said, then, you know, if you don't, that's fine.
It's off the table.
You know, it is what it is.
I didn't even think it was supposed to be on the table, but he's like, It is what it is. It's gone. Like he was saving a glimmer of hope that she says, you know what, I'm into it. Let's go ask this person.
And that's why she said his words on the boat about it are contradictory to now, because he was like, why would I not? Who wouldn't want that?
If my wife allowed me, guess what I'm gonna do? And
now you're saying, nah. If you don't want me to, I won't. What?
Make up your mind, bro.
So yeah, that was the biggest, one of the biggest things between Alyssa telling the producer to tell Chris don't come over here, to Olajuwon talking about, hey, who wants a threesome?
Yeah, it's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and no one's, again, Olajuwon is, we can see Olajuwon who's left Isaac in the past. He's trying to be Olajuwon, not Isaac. He doesn't want to be anything else. Leave it. Katina can see that he's trying to leave Isaac in the past, that he's trying to be with her. Mark and Lindsay, who's at this point mad at each other for Mark telling the truth and being honest with her and trying to get to the situation right. You got Jasmina is mad at Michael still a little bit because of what he said, the fake apology, or him saying that these couples right now, in this point, every couple except for knowing Steve don't have an issue. There's a lot going on with these couples.
So we'll see where it goes from here.
We'll see where it goes from here, man. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification. Let us know what you thought about Olajuwon and his conversations on the catamaran. Have you slept with somebody in the same family?
Yeah, don't share that.
Don't share who it is though.
Don't share it at all. I keep to yourself.
Put it in the comment. It's old. But anyway, would you do that? Let's make that question. Would you do that? I'm not gonna say who. Don't tell me who. Don't tell us who. But would you do that? Nah, I wouldn't do that. Not at all. Not at all. And yeah, just hit the subscribe button.
Thanks for watching.
And hit the bell notification. And guess what? Alyssa is still a mess.
Yeah, she's a bud.
She's a bud.
But thank y'all for watching.
Subscribe button, bell notification. And don't forget, if you're watching this before Sunday at 6 p.m., the All-Star panel comes back together again, and we're going to review and talk more about Married at First Sight.
Yep. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Didn't have it ready.
Bro, if you don't open your eyes.